Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
New anchor with us tonight, Marisol Marrero. Welcome.
Thank you so
Queer News
much.
Tonight. And the older, wait, no, that's
Go.
Some of the oldies but goodies.
Yeah, don't you
oldies but
start.
goodies.
You have 30 seconds to apologize already.
Where's my Geritol?
You know, somebody said to me yesterday about your reference to y'all. They thought, oh, he's a Southerner. No, he's not.
I'm a transplant.
Well, we got lots of news to talk about, especially Netflix. We're going to do horror movies.
An
Horror
exciting show tonight, for
characters.
sure.
This is good.
All tonight. So, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It is 8 p.m. Tuesday, October 19th, 2021, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson. Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are a part of the partnership between Happening Out Television Network and Hotspots Magazine. Hotspots is celebrating 36 years of LGBTQ plus experience. We bring you the best of LGBTQ plus news, entertainment, and support of our community.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. First up, let's welcome anchor Jonathan Casanas, a board member of Forward Miami, an organization working to unite South Florida's diverse communities to advance progress. Progress through civic engagement, cultural programming, and education. He is also co-host of the Miami Community News Forward Miami Show, airing Fridays at 4 p.m. Good evening, Jonathan.
Hey, Mama. Next, let's welcome Patricia Hernandez from Rotella and Hernandez Immigration and Family Law. Throughout her career, she has represented individuals nationwide in their immigration matters, including same-sex couples, immigrants with criminal histories, and business immigration clients. She is the recipient of the Miami-Dade County Bar Association Visionary Award, the Miami-Dade County Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board's Community Champion Award, and Saves People's Luminary Award. Wow. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Let's welcome anchor Marisol Marrero, a homegrown Garden State girl who was fascinated with MTV and radio at an early age. Marisol's early exposure led her to the entertainment industry. Currently, she has been a local DJ for the LGBTQ community of South Florida for over 20 years. Good evening, Marisol.
Hi, good evening. Thanks so much. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, a 1999 inductee into the Chicago LGBTQ Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 5 books of poetry. As an entertainment journalist, his celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ plus and mainstream publications and websites, and his screensaver movie review column can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco's Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Shalom, y'all. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Tuesday, October 19th.
Well, let's begin by queering up business. The pro-LGBTQ plus Netflix employee protest to happen over Dave Chappelle. Last week, Queer News Tonight reported that Netflix faced widespread backlash as co-CEO Ted Sarandos defended Dave Chappelle's special, The Closer, which has come under fire for what critics say is transphobic and homophobic in its content. In protest of Sarando's comments, Netflix trans employees and allies last week announced their plan to hold a walkout next week. The accompanying rally will present Sarandos with a list of firm asks and will include a PSA delivered by public figures, some of whom have worked with Netflix, including Angelica Ross, Jonathan Van Ness, Jamila Jamil, Eureka O'Hara, and Colton Hayes.
Well, I girded my loins with your encouragement, and I sat down and I watched it. And I have to say that the most honest moment was when he admitted he's jealous of us. That's where this is all coming from. He's a jealous little baby. And that was it. That was this extreme, the light bulb went off.
And in clarity for viewers who have not seen the special, he 85% of the entire special is about, the comedy special is about the LGBTQ community and the trans community. He tells horrifying story after horrifying story after horrifying story. But the basis of it is he says he's an equal opportunity offender of everyone. He uses the N on every race, creed, color, etc. And then says, I'm not homophobic because I'm actually really jealous of how well LGBTQ has done, and contrast that since Stonewall, our community has done so much better than his African American community.
But they should still walk out. Walk out is necessary.
Well, it's an opportunity for them to stand up for the rights. That's great. But I'm glad that you said that, Al, because I think he is kind of genius in how he delivered that. Because what he was trying to say was, we're doing a great job. And even though we cancel people when we want to, he's saying, you have the power to do so. And even though he came off as we were being sensitive, what he was doing it in a genius way to tell the rest of the world how our word is really being heard.
Yeah, I believe that, he's a comedian, and there's, some people are going to take to his content and other, but I think this is also kind of going into what he's looking for. He's looking for the notoriety, for people to be talking about this. And the comedy special has been out for a couple of weeks and we're still talking about it, right?
Absolutely.
So I think this kind of helps Netflix and him as well.
Well, let's move on to some more entertainment, I guess we'll call it that.
Next, we'll queer up entertainment. Jonathan Capehart calls out Fox News' Tucker Carlson's homophobia. Al's best friend, Tucker Carlson, took aim at Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg after he took paternity leave to help care for his new twins. This has caused many parents, both gay and straight, to respond. The best reply came from MSNBC's Jonathan Capehart. Watch this.
Tucker Carlson, the grand dragon of Fox News primetime, deviated from his usual flogging of the racist white replacement theory to go after Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Secretary Pete and his husband Chasten adopted twins back in August. That Buttigieg took paternity leave to care for his premature babies really bugged Carlson.
Pete Buttigieg has been on leave from his job since August after adopting a child. Paternity leave, they call it, trying to figure out how to breastfeed. No word on how that went.
Carlson, the real-life embodiment of the smug and entitled Shane Patton in HBO's White Lotus, works for a company that offers 6 weeks of paternity leave to its employees. Even the odious Fox News host Jesse Waters proclaimed himself, quote, pro-paternity after the birth of his third child back in April. And that line about trying to figure out how to breastfeed is all kinds of homophobic. But I'm hardly surprised that Carlson would say such a thing. Growing up gay, it was always the toxic and insecure Carlson types who were quick to question my masculinity or even my humanity if I appeared to stray from their cramped view of what it means to be a man or seemed to be not like them in some way. And Carlson's contemptuous remark is especially ridiculous, laughable even, when you consider this observation from Joy Behar of The View. She said, Pete Buttigieg served 6 years in the Navy Reserve and was deployed in Afghanistan. Tucker Carlson was booted off Dancing with the Stars after he couldn't even do the cha-cha. My editorial point? What a loser. With the arrival of Penelope Rose and Joseph August Buttigieg, the world has 2 new people who will be raised by parents who embody the values they live by: kindness, hard work, service, sacrifice, empathy, humility, integrity, resilience, gratitude. Values Carlson neither possesses nor knows anything about.
Breathtaking.
Wow.
Yeah, let's not pretend that Tucker hasn't tried breastfeeding from someone's penis in the past. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's where this toxic masculinity comes from.
Yes, and be still my beating Capehart. I mean, at least that character that he referenced was hot. Tucker Carlson isn't hot, and the character he referenced is fictional. Unfortunately, Tucker Carlson is real.
I'm curious the battling toxic masculinity of what you see here. How does that land over the two of you?
To me, it's just such a chauvinistic comment. Like, whoever said that the women are supposed to be the responsible ones, mainly responsible for taking care of children. I mean, we're in the 20th century. Like, come on, let's this is like old instilled views that are no longer relevant.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it affects straight people too, because I mean the story becomes that much bigger. So there are straight fathers out there who want to take care of their child. They want to take the time off.
Right.
And this is not only homophobia. This is sexism.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
it's sexism in a way that we don't constantly focus on.
Yeah.
Men are being discriminated against. What father would not want to have the opportunity of leave just like his wife in the process of their new child? Why would a man fight against that?
Right.
Except if they were sexist against their own gender. It makes no sense to me until we realize that's exactly why homophobic is often from homosexuals, which is your joke.
Yeah.
Oh, a good joke, by the way.
Yours was a little
To the point.
Yeah. All right, next, let's queer up the world. A teen in Jamaica met a man on a gay dating site who set him ablaze and left him for dead. A group of 3 men in Jamaica kidnapped, disfigured, then set fire to an 18-year-old who believed he was meeting a man from a gay dating site. The victim from St. James told police that he went to a location at Montego Bay where he and the man from the gay dating site agreed to meet. When he got there, the man showed up with 2 others. According to a local newspaper, The Gleaner, they took the victim's cell phone, wallet, and bank cards. They then assaulted him until he told them his bank information. The officer said the 3 men were drinking alcohol and doused the victim in it, cut off part of his penis, and set him on fire and left him to die. In January 2020, a similar case caught international headlines when a warehouse manager, 43 years old Allie Jackson, also used the gay dating site to meet with someone. He went missing. Eventually, his body was found in a shallow grave.
I wish I could say that this is a story that really shocks me, but having represented countless asylum seekers, LGBTQ asylum seekers from Jamaica in my line of work, I mean, stories like this are very common in Jamaica. Unfortunately, the Jamaican society is very homophobic and, they just constantly do these things and, every day they get more and more brazen because really the law is not going to protect the community and really there probably wouldn't be any repercussions for their actions at all.
Well, and as we've talked about in the past, money counts, and if this is a tourist destination for a lot of people, and stop going there, boycott the place. Especially gay people, LGBTQ people should not be going there.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was planning a trip next year. Not that we're going to be able to really travel that much, but I have no idea what's going on. But I will say this, Jamaica came up, and I heard so many stories, I said, no, I'll pass. I'm not going to subject myself nor any of my friends in the community to any kind of danger. If you can't feel safe where you travel, what's the point of taking the travel?
Listen, I think people are forgetting where they are, and these are Jamaicans. I mean, know where you live, know how to meet with people, and a dating app is probably not going to be it. Jamaica was one of the most homophobic countries in the world. Like, don't forget where you are. Try not to meet someone in a dark place because you're going to be in danger. and by the way, the law there is not on your side. Like, when someone dies, if they're trans or gay, they say they should have died sooner. That's what the police say when they find a dead body there.
Actually, it's against the law to be homosexual and part of the community in Jamaica is written into the law.
Right. Yeah, you're sorry, go ahead, Al.
I was just going to say, I've been to Jamaica many, many times. I've advocated for travel in Jamaica many times. It continues to be problemsome to think in 2021 something like this could continue to happen. Then you ask yourself why. And I'm going to offend a lot of people, but here's why. First, the Catholic Church and Christian right-wing philosophy has very deep roots in Jamaica. It's one of the places in the Caribbean. The Caribbean's not great in general, but Jamaica is one of the most difficult in terms of the church and their influence in Jamaica. Second, Jamaica is very toxically masculine. It is an island where men are men, and defining men are men means you can't be gay. And of course that's ridiculous, but that's what it is. And unfortunately, and here's where I will offend many, it is also a situation that draws on African roots. We have reported story after story about what is going on in Africa for the LGBTQ community. One of the places that is most dominant in the Western Hemisphere of its original influence of the slave trade from Africa was Jamaica. And it exists today. And while Jamaica is a majority black race country, their old effects of Africa still permeate society. And black, straight, toxic, Christian-fed men trap people in and cut off their penises and leave them to die by burning them. That's what you get in Jamaica.
Well, let's go ahead and focus now on Queer Up the World. Terrible Africa. Human rights continues as Botswana Attorney General seeks to recriminalize LGBTQ+. On June 11, 2019, Botswana moved toward being a state that no longer held some of its citizens, and by extension visitors, as criminals if they identified within the LGBTQ spectrum. However, the government didn't take too long before it declared its intention to appeal the High Court judgment that asserted that consensual same-sex sexual activity in private was not to be a criminal act. The appeal hearing took place on October 12th. In the hearing on October 9th, a full bench of 5 judges of the Court of Appeal was treated to the government's case as presented by Advocate Sidney Pillane of the Attorney General's Chambers. In some of his appeals arguments, Pillane stated that Botswana, and I quote, do not have a problem with gay people, end quote, yet he based his contention on the fact that Botswana, quote, respect the court's decisions, end quote. As such, they would not take up arms at court's decision to decriminalize consensual same-sex sexual activity. Pillane maintained that the decision to decriminalize should be left to the Parliament on the recommendation of the courts. The bench was swift to query whether a body of politicians elected by a majority would be the best representatives of a minority that was oppressed by laws that the very politicians benefited from. The Court of Appeal is expected to hand down a judgment following their deliberations in 4 to 6 weeks. However, this remains at their discretion. Now, I honestly don't see how any of this is going to be favorable to the LGBTQ community. You have a majority of people on the panel who are completely against it. It's going to be a very easy reversal for them, at least on that page. I don't see how the community can stand up, toward, and fight the reversal. I don't see how the power of their numbers can make it work.
I just don't understand how people can think that politicians should rule someone's body, as in regards to pro-life.
You're a woman, right?
Right, and pro-choice, right? Exactly. And then also, what happens between 2 consensual adults? Like, the government should stay out of that. There's no reason for there to be a criminalization of that. But once again, it goes back to those roots of, anything that's different, we're just going to be against.
And this is an exact reflection of what you were saying about the previous story, that it's the intrusion of religious fanaticism, and this is the price.
Yeah,
This
I mean,
is the
I'm not shocked. This reminds me of Louisiana, Texas, Roe v. versus Wade. I mean, it just continues to go back and forth. Are we going to be pro-choice? It's going to be the same thing for them. They're going to be in this battle for a very, very long time, just as we are here in America.
Yes.
You know, contextually, I think it's interesting. We've just done this story about this horrible hate crime and murder in Jamaica, and I make the observations where it's rooted from. It's rooted in Africa. Incidentally, I've sat at this table over the last week, and we have done a story on an African country every single show for the last week.
Wow.
It's been Rwanda, it's been Nigeria, it's been Kenya. We report tonight on Botswana. They all have something in common. They have toxic masculinity at play. They have religious fervor and extremism at play. And they have race at play in terms of how the particular race and races of the majority of the countries in Africa feel. And as a result, those three things are deadly for the LGBTQ community. And we must stand up and continue to fight in every way possible. The UN has to be involved. The United States leadership has to be involved. The European Union has to be involved. Because we can't allow this to happen in Africa or in Jamaica.
And now for something completely different. Let's queer up entertainment. Gay Christmas is Halloween.
Woof.
Top 25 sexiest monsters in history, numbers 16 through 20. This is part 2 of our series on the top monsters in media who scare our pants off. And we couldn't be more excited. Number 20, Thrax from Osmosis Jones. He's stylish, suave, and he's got that finger that could scratch all of our itches. This anthropomorphic anthrax virus is giving us chills. Number 19, Hexus, the embodiment of a toxic relationship. This demon made of pollution is given his sultry voice by the iconic Tim Curry. Number 18, Melina. Mortal Kombat players have long lusted after this outworld warrior. This openly lesbian fighter is beautiful and mysterious. But thank goodness for COVID, since her mask hides a giant maw of teeth and a 14-inch tongue.
All about it.
Number 17, Hellboy. Demon spawn with a heart of gold and muscles and strength. And let's not even get started on the right hand of doom. Is red just his color, or is he flagging? Number 16, Pinhead. The Cenobites. Other dimensional beings who blur the lines between pain and pleasure. Embodiments of sex, style, and sin. And Pinhead is their leader. Make sure to keep watching Queer News Tonight as we continue to count down the sexiest monsters in media as we get closer to Halloween.
You delivered that beautifully.
You
Greg.
did.
Do you need a few minutes, by the way?
Why don't you stand up?
You do not want me to stand up.
Listen, I know it's obvious, but Hellboy can get it. Like, and that
Wait,
hand of
was
doom.
that an offer?
Sort of. He can hit me with that hand of doom whenever he wants.
Are you into horror characters? Is it sexy to you or not so much?
Not so much to me, no. But the tongue is very interesting.
You know what's interesting is Greg was doing that. Both of the girls at the table talked about the 14.
They did.
Yes. Yeah, it was about size there, right? All of a sudden, you're about size.
Oh, well, wait.
Wait, no, let's not go there.
Don't even go there. We're going to do 3 more of these segments, counting down to the number 1 character as a salute to Halloween.
Well, that is our queer headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ plus news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies.
Queer News Tonight has reported on coronavirus on every news broadcast since January 6, 2020. Tonight, we report that as of today, more than 3,213,000 LGBTQ plus Americans have contracted COVID-19.
Queer News Tonight remembers the more than 52,000 LGBTQ plus Americans that have died from coronavirus.
But the news is improving because as of today, more than 408 million vaccination doses have been administered in the U.S.
And that is our pandemic news for tonight. Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine in supporting that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ plus religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
I am Daniel Quintana, CFO of Domi Real Estate, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Well, we finished tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus Flash News. In LGBTQ plus Flash News, high school puts on a drag show for its homecoming halftime show. The crowd went wild at a Vermont high school homecoming football game over the weekend as the halftime show transformed the field into a fabulous drag ball. Both faculty and students from Burlington High School strutted across the field as drag queens and kings. They wore colorful wigs, sparkly ensembles, feather boas, knee-high boots, and more. It sounds like an evening at John Casanas. The drag ball was the brainchild of English teacher Andrew LaValle, an advisor to the Gender Sexuality Alliance. I just have to tell you, when I was in high school, this would have been the same as saying, I'm going to be going to the moon next week.
Yeah.
It was an impossibility.
I just wish my high school would have been that cool. That would have been amazing.
I did try this. It did not go well. I looked like a hairy ginger minge, and I think that's why it didn't go well.
You and drag.
Me and drag. This is just a wide little
That's a mistake.
mushroom. I don't know.
Oh, Vermont, you are making us green with envy. Get it?
Well,
Say it again. Say it again.
I personally would have loved a front row seat to seeing my high school principal in drag.
Oh my God.
You
yeah.
couldn't get a crazier looking man.
Oh my God.
That's my
LGBTQ plus Flash News. The complexities of pro wrestling's gayest tag team, the Golden Lovers. Conversations about queer representation have dominated the discourse of LGBTQ people in entertainment in recent memory. Now, as pro wrestling attempts a progressive overhaul in the face of growing social change, in what ways do the discussion about sexual diversity extend to an art form defined by artifice? This is precisely a question wrestling fans have found themselves grappling with as New Japan Pro Wrestling's explosive popular tag team, the Golden Lovers, has become an unlikely breakout. Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, the flirtatious duo who comprise the team, must now wrestle with the responsibility of queer identity. I think this is awesome. I think this is great. You know, their audiences, I think, is really gonna have a hard time with it. But I love it. Let's push the envelope on this.
For sure. Including, they should have just changed their name. The Golden Lovers is weird. I don't know. They need to come up
Even
with
for you, the
even
Golden
for me.
Lovers.
Wow.
I mean, I would do like golden butt plugs. I don't know. Something way better than the Golden Lovers.
Well, I can't help but think about the late pro wrestler Dick the Bruiser.
Dick The Bruiser. Wow.
Bruiser. Whoa. Ah, yes. No comment from me. Thanks.
2021 has been interesting in sports. All of the gay sports stars that have come out. The Olympics, largest in history. Football players, basketball players, baseball players, NASCAR, now the Golden Lovers. Wrestling, this just in, Franklin Graham declares hell has frozen over. I guess so.
It's so stupid. Okay, LGBTQ plus flash news. Okay. The 10 sexy...
Here we go.
Yeah,
Jonathan, good luck here.
Yes. Sorry if I butcher your name if you're watching. The 10 sexy contestants for the Mr. Gay World 2021 competition. It's time, again, for the Mr. Gay World competition. The 10 finalists truly come from every part of the world, with contestants hailing from Ireland to Sri Lanka to Puerto Rico and South Africa and beyond.
So you're doing great.
I'm doing great.
No problem.
And by beyond, we mean beyond. Best of all, the judges have given you a vote to pick the winner. This year, given the pandemic, the male pageant is being held virtually. Regional organizers were allowed to appoint their representatives, and audiences are able to weigh in. Voting is going on now and runs through October 26th. The final competition takes place on October 30th. The competition will be streamed globally. You can vote as many times as you want, but there is a small fee for each vote cast. If you'd like to learn more about the Mr. Gay World competition and the final 10 contestants, visit mgwvote.com.
We don't get to see any of these pictures?
Here are the 2021 finalists. From Czechoslovak Republic, Kevin Drabeck. From Germany, Benjamin Nasler. From Ireland, Lorcan McAuliffe.
I love your Irish accent.
Thank you. From Mexico, Diego Badillo. From the Netherlands, Sanjay Ramcharan. From the Philippines, Joel Carcasona. From Puerto Rico, Joshua Naponte. From South Africa, Lou Burntumbak.
It's the pounds that's making you not say his name properly.
From Sri Lanka, Ram Dooley, thank you, easy one. And representing
this is probably
the
a really
USA, Nathaniel Davis III. I didn't get to see the pictures because I was too busy reading, but shout out to the hotties. That's all.
And to quote the Rocky Horror Picture Show's coy heroine, Janet Weiss, I don't like a man with too many muscles. Present company excluded.
Oh, well, luckily I don't have that many muscles.
I vote for my island boy, Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Go forth. Win.
Exciting news. It's going to be announced on Monday. The qualifier to this pageant or contest, no, it's a pageant, it's fine, is Mr. Gay USA. It is November 12th, 13th, and 14th, 48 contestants, and it's being broadcast live by Happening Out Television Network.
Wow.
The Sunshine Cathedral here.
Stop it.
I can't wait. I literally can't wait.
That's exciting.
I want front row seats for that.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. And that is the passion of the Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson. And on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Patricia Hernandez, Jonathan Casanas, Marisol Marrero, and Gregg Shapiro. We will see you daily at 8 p.m.
Good night.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the